Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm holly jolly.
Oh.
I'm so corny. Watch out, people. I'm going to be really corny tonight.
Pretty good, Mrs. Weedman.
I don't know about
Pretty
that.
good. Hey, everybody out there in the world. Hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Man, the Great British Baking Show. We finally finished the finale. And guess what? Paulie came in first with 30 points.
Yep.
I came in second with 17. You came in third with 15. And Shoddy came in last at 10 points.
Gosh.
We will not ruin it on who won, but it was a good season. I don't know if it was my favorite season because I'm going to say this, though. I'm going to mention one person. I think Abdul
You
sucked.
just had it out for him.
Sucked.
He did not
He was
suck.
a mediocre fucking baker. Mediocre baker the whole time. There was 3 or 4 other bakers that were better than him.
But he just was good at the right time. Like any time that he was at risk of going home, he pulled through. He was better than mediocre.
He wasn't better than Janusz.
No, Janusz. But Janusz was... We shouldn't even talk about names because someone else, we might be spoiling things.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
I'm only going to talk about Abdul then. He got lucky and he got in. I still think he's a terrible baker. That's just my opinion. I think he
That's
just
your takeaway from the whole
mediocre
season.
baking to get to the finals drove me absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it did. It really
The whole
bugged me.
show. The whole show. And how many times did I say he was gone and
Yeah,
he pulled through?
and he came through.
And I'm so pissed about it because he was mediocre at best. So, a good season. Another good season. I think the Christmas one is somewhere on. I think the new Christmas one is on, so we'll have to
That
watch
was a
that.
fun one to
Yeah,
watch.
that's always the holiday season one is always a good one to watch. So, and you are watching something new.
I am. I got sucked into the Harry and Meghan Markle story. It's kind of interesting. It's bizarre. It like royalty, the history, British culture. It's just such a deep seated ritual and old thoughts and ways, and very much whatever happened. We don't know if what transpired really transpired. I mean, it's one person's story against another person's story, but Meghan Markle felt, and Prince Harry felt, that she was targeted with a lot of racial disrespect and a lot of problems. You know, she wasn't fit to become a princess. She was mixed race. All of these things that didn't sit well with the monarchy, and they're telling their story. So part of me is very intrigued because the history of the monarchy is forever, right? And so she was kind of naive coming into this, and so part of me is like, well, should she have just recognized that maybe this wasn't a good fit for her life? Because you can't really change something that's so old. And then the other part of me is like, fuck yeah, go change that shit, because it is so freaking old and outdated and they need to get with the times. So it's like, it is a double-edged sword. You know, I guess what I'm trying to say is like the tradition of the monarchy. You don't want to disrespect that. But I get the humanity and the racism and all of that stuff that needs to be changed. And then Prince Harry being the son of Princess Diana, and he is just such her. Like, he's just... Like, he even says at one point that I am her. Like, I am the reinvention of my mother. Like, we're two peas in a pod. And she didn't stand for crap, right? Princess Diana was always so gracious, but she definitely had a voice. And she left the monarchy because she didn't feel, right being there anymore. And she died because of all the paparazzi, and that does not sit well with Harry, and he wants to kind of call the bluff on how the whole big picture of the monarchy and the media work together. And so it's a really interesting dynamic, I think. I don't know that I'll know much more after the show. I mean, this is two people's opinion. It's
Right.
Harry and Meghan telling their story. We're not going to hear the other side of the story. I don't know. It's just interesting. Something to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm learning a little bit more about the royal family. I feel like we've learned a lot more in recent months with the Queen dying and stuff like that. We've seen more stuff going on.
God save the Queen.
Yeah. It's interesting. I just think it's interesting.
I watched half of episode with you last night. I watched it. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it.
It's not going to change my life. And
Yeah, I don't know what to think about it. But I don't know. It was interesting. You know what I watched. You ready to smoke?
Yeah, I'm ready to smoke.
Let's smoke this up. We got a gift from Mr. G. He's been on the show. He's a good friend of mine. And also, we love his music. He plays in a bunch of different bands. And one of my favorites is Grit and the Double Knit. Go ahead and smoke up. We're smoking right now that he gave us. This is an outdoor grow that he did. And it's very nice, very fragrant. You could smells outdoor-ish when you open up the jar, if that says anything
like
about
fresh
it.
berries.
Yes. So this is called Punch Drunk Ape. And this is it has some muffin flavors to it with high flower and resin production. And like I said, this was grown outdoors, but it smells very nice. So this is a purple punch and GG4 cross, and the plant that delivers flowers with extraordinary beauty because of its beautiful violet hues, as well as strong terpene features resembling blueberry muffins with ripe grape flavors. It is great white resin yielder with which contrasts greatly with violet-colored flowers. Purple Punch is very fast and easy to cultivate variety and adapts perfectly. Gorilla Glue is the other parent contributing to Punch Drunk Ape. Is variety only available. A strain highly praised for its properties. GG4 excels in cannabis breeding and high levels up to 30%. It offers aromas that combine chocolate, coffee, and pine with citric notes, as well as woody and gas terpenes. Punch Drunk Ape provides hybrid progny with grape and muffin flavors with chocolate, woody, and gas terpenes. You just what are you getting out of it? I know your taste buds are off, but
Yeah, taste, I don't know.
smell though. Its bud production is high with flowers that often show beautiful colorations due to Purple Punch heritage. This is hybrid composed of two great resin production strains, perfect for the enjoyment of extraction. Punch Drunk Ape provides good vigor, production, and great bag appeal. It's there's not much more information about it. I searched it out to find out like what it helps with ailments and stuff, but not much information on this strain. A lot of people that bred and try to sell seeds of this, but not much more on the inner workings of it all. So, but I'm excited to try it. I'm excited to try the high, especially when a friend of mine or people out there give me weed that they grew their own. That makes me excited. So I'm going to smoke it. Mrs. Weedman's going to talk for a second.
Well, I don't know. I'm just not chatty. What are we going to...
Chatty Patty?
I watched The Sound of Music the other day, and I'm going to go over some top films to watch while you're high. And The Sound of Music didn't make it on that list. I was like, what the heck?
But it's not a Christmas movie.
I know it's not technically a Christmas movie, but they play it at Christmas. I don't know why.
I always thought they played
Why
it
do
at
they play it?
Thanksgiving.
I think they used to play it at Thanksgiving, but now they play it before
Like
Christmas.
right after Halloween, they would play it right before.
That's what I thought. I always feel like after like on Thanksgiving or something.
That movie's too long to watch on regular TV, though. It's a fucking 4-hour movie if you watch it on regular TV, which you did.
I don't think it was 4.
4
I think
hours.
It was 3 hours.
No. I turned I looked at what year it was
The
on.
hills are alive with the sounds of music. Oh my God, I love that movie.
You do like that
I
movie.
do love it.
Yeah, it was 4 hours with commercials. That's
Yeah.
fucking brutal. I can't watch movies like that on regular TV. I'd rather just watch
Well,
it
I've seen it so many times I don't have to be like
Drilled in it.
captively watching every moment
Right.
of it. But every time a song comes on, I sing along. As bad as it may sound.
You ready to get the show started?
Yeah,
we got
let's
some
do
good,
it.
we got some good stuff to go over in the show. That strain tastes really nice. Great job, Mr. G, and I appreciate it. So let's start the show.
Let's do it.
This is a really good article. I read it a couple times, and the author and writer is Joseph Snow. I think we've read a couple articles from him before. Standards not as high as we are. We need true connoisseurs, people driven not by money, not by clout, but by the dedication to their craft. A gap in the industry. When we look at other industries, from wine to fine dining, there are rigorous standards in place that allow for a clearly defined spectrum of desirability. The higher end is easily discernible from the lower, and if not, they are trusted professionals who can differentiate for us. Establishing categories around quality not only helps us create better products, it facilitates a process by which people can study, discuss, and uplift their industry as a whole. For too long, cannabis has remained an insider's game, with plugs and self-proclaimed experts defining trends by capitalizing on hype without due consideration to quality. It's time for us as an industry to elevate ourselves, not just by getting high, but by adding a layer of sophistication that can increase our appeal by encouraging mainstream accessibility and acceptance worldwide. How do we get here? Well, to be frank, money. Monies. Livelihoods are built on opinion, and the persistence of certain opinions have generated quite a lot of income in our industry. For example, let's say a buyer acquires a pound of purple weed. Besides its coveted color, has little potency, resin content, or terpenes. Naturally, the buyer will hype the color as the bud's telltale sign of quality to push their product on consumers, even when these makers are desirability have zero to do with the actual quality of what's being offered. Now, that's the small-time broker I refer to, but even more dangerous are the mega suppliers who end up doing the same thing. Their play is obvious. Where quality is lacking, use hype to fill the gap. Grow purple bud that lacks on every other metric, but decree that purple is best, and if it's za, it has to be dark. Not true, even though I do like a good purple flower. In the vicious cycle of the skillful growers and cunning plugs, determining that in style, cannabis becomes akin to quick and cheap fashion, where the latest trend is king and quality is the court jester. Mock standardizations. Currently, the industry hides behind two sources of standards: lab testing with rocket-high THC percentages and the previously mentioned self-proclaimed gurus who prop up hype and spread myths. When it comes to THC percentages, consumers will tend to gravitate toward higher numbers, seeing those numbers as guarantee of quality. But here's the thing. Dun, dun, dun. The amount of THC in a given strain, as determined by lab testing, is not a good metric of potency. I have, for instance, this is the author, comes across strains that have tested as low as 14% THC with terpene contents breaking the 5%, whose effects will floor a seasoned smoker. I agree with that. How long have I been talking about this?
Yeah.
Forever. While others that have tested at 30% impart a far less visceral high. I agree. I've gotten headaches from higher bud and just I've smoked 30, 35%. I've come close to 38%. And the high doesn't last very long. It's quick, yeah, it's a head rush, and then the bottom drops out just as fast. At the same time, the desire to achieve those higher and higher measures of THC introduces a whole other kettle of fish. THC additives and post-production process that are now streamlined in products to increase the bud testing. You'd be shocked to see the amount of distillate and CRC sprayed and soaked onto flowers and joints across the market. I've talked about this before in past articles. But lab-tested potency alone isn't enough. It has to be propped up by a healthy dose of hype, conveniently provided by our so-called gurus, a never-ending march of clout chasers standing in line for the mick, lying in wait for the 15 minutes of fame. Cop a flashy IG handle, spout out some opinions, and suddenly you're a consultant expert or a critic on all the finer things cannabis related. Yet I've seen a total lack of willingness on the part of so many of these individuals to make the true sacrifice needed to be authentic and accurate critic, requirements that will be discussed a little bit later in this article. With fractured standards in place, myths abound. Color. Let's start with the color of cannabis, something we touched on briefly with those pretty perps without potency. For years, we've already seen major market shifts solely on how the bud looks from color perspective. I mean, I get it. Color's great. I like a wide variety of colors in my fruits and vegetables. But while purple sweet potato is cool, there's no denying orange ones are just as delicious too. That's a great little analogy. It's all a matter of aesthetic preference. And if we're really talking about the visual striking aspect of cannabis flower, there are metrics far more indicative of the plant's health and quality of growth than simply the color, such as dense resin content, large trichome heads, and trim quality. In certain cases, buds that are in fact meant to be green, such as OGs, are turned darker on purpose in order to achieve those lucrative shades, with incorrect room temperature and environmental settings actually stressing the plant out. This ironically ends up rendering them a lesser quality than the same strain grown to its proper potential and color. Not to say, of course, there aren't natural occurring darker buds that are delicious and tasty and gorgeous to look at. But again, it's preference. The bottom line is that color isn't the telltale sign of anything at all, really. This one I've talked about a lot. Density. I've talked a lot about tight nugs, and this is a good section. Density of buds is the next issue at hand. The amount of times he's witnessed ignorance around how bud density is a sign of its quality is astounding. I'd say genetics is the most important factor for bud density. And while a strain that's meant to be dense but comes out fluffy is a sign of poor growth and quality. There are many strains that simply aren't dense at all, but can still be some of the highest quality cannabis around. I don't grow really dense buds. I don't. They're nice. They're a little tight, but my bud comes out the way the strain is supposed to. And I love it. I love grinding it up, and you get the aromatics, you get the smell, you get the nice density of just being that perfect plant, of not being overly tight to where if it gets too dry, it turns to powder. I hate that. I mean, it's been
it's
fucked
so dry.
up. Oh my gosh. Just not even just dry, just so tight. There's no airflow to keep that bud fresh and just nice. Could be a rock sign of heavy amount of PGRs, plant growth regulators, which we've talked about plenty of times. Hormones are being used with denser buds, which decreases the quality of the strain in spite of its newfound density. Here's another one, ash. We've talked about ash. And finally, the myth to end all myths. Ash color, which along with pretty much everything ash related, will from here on out be known as the general cutsie's last stand. It's truly one of the most ill-informed myths, and yet it's the hill the biggest mob of pot bros have chosen to die on, spouting their ash-related views with the conviction of scientific expert. But here's the truth. Decades ago, Big Tobacco decided they needed to whitewash their cancer-causing poison, choosing to formulate the perfect chemical additives that, when put into cigarettes, would make their ash burn nice and white. Because, of course, white equals pure, equals clean, equals not the thing that killed your grandpa or your great-uncle Bob. And clearly, these tobacco folks know where the real za is, because the silliness has infiltrated the cannabis industry with a vengeance that's been hard to shake. What are you laughing about?
You're high.
I'm feeling great. All too often, we hear white ash diehards demonizing a darker burning bud, claiming the dark ash means it wasn't flushed properly, cured correctly, has too many heavy metals, and so many more absurd notions. Ash color has far more to do with the mineral content absorbed by each plant and temperature at which the flower burns. And that differs from strain to strain. Yeah, I've noticed that. I've always thought the whiter the ash, the you got all the extra nutrients out. I never thought it was anything else, and that's why you flushed your bud, so you get a cleaner smoke. Because when you don't flush your bud, you do get some nutrients or salt builds up, maybe, and you might feel that harsh burn. So that's all there is to it. Ash color is the aesthetic preference and not, as the diehards want you to believe, a statement on quality. The path forward. So what's the cure for all this? Connoisseurship. Real pot critics. Most importantly, people who are willing to create systems in place to truly put quality to the test. Smoking 50 blunts, which could be fun at a cannabis cup, and then saying, you know what's fire, is a pretty flimsy claim to expertise. I like smoking a good blunt with the best of them. But when you smoke out of a tobacco leaf, you're getting that tobacco flavor too. So you're not getting the true flavor of what that cannabis flower should be. And you can tell me till you're blue in the face that you do, but you're not. Okay? I've smoked plenty of blunts in my life, and I love the fucking White Owl purple. I love the White Owl grape. It's been one of my favorites of all time. But I don't ever taste what the flower truly tastes like, because all I taste is the grape from the wrap. So what we need instead is the opposite. People who are passionate about cannabis and its effects, but are willing to sacrifice immediate and frequent highs in favor of spreading out experiences. Basically, we need people who have the ability to actually differentiate bud. You can't fill a cup of water that's already full. Just like you can't properly test cannabis when you don't have it if it's the 10th or 12th joint of the evening. Yeah, it's true. You mean your tongue is fried. Just as food critics must maintain sensitive and broad palates, and sommeliers spit out sips and clear their taste buds between wines, true cannabis critics need to find ways of consumption that maximize their ability to evaluate flavor and effects. This ultimately would mean less overconsumption and more meaningful, intentional habits. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to smoke a lot. I mean, you would have to take a couple days off because your palate, you're smoking, and you do lose taste buds after long periods of time, especially cigarette smokers. I was for a long time, and my taste buds are shot.
Right.
So you wouldn't be able to smoke cannabis if you're gonna really want to get that true flavor. You'd have to take a break for a couple of days and let your tongue kind of get back to a little bit normalcy and stuff like that. So just eat edibles or take tinctures. So if you don't want to take a TB break. Where was I? Oh, so less consumption. We need experts willing to study the broadest spectrum of terpenes, their individual flavors, and how these terpenes affect the mind, body, and spirit, how they interact with one another, and how they mix with different levels and types of cannabinoids. You could first start off looking what your strain has terpene-wise, and you can also get those little oils, the essential oils, and smell, or go to a flower shop or go to a shop that sells those types of flowers or those types of terpenes and get botanical terpenes. If you don't want to smoke right away and you want to learn what those flavors are, you start with that first, so then your memory has what you're looking for in that strain. When a strain has linalool in it, which comes from lavender, if you haven't smelled lavender before, go smell a lavender tree. It's wonderful. A lavender bush would be a bush, right? Not a tree, right? Bush,
yeah.
Plant. Or get some of that lavender essential oil, put it on a cotton ball and give it let it sit for a second and give it a little smell. But smell the plant first, because that's that true terpene. It's coming directly from a lavender plant. So now you're trying that in cannabis, and you will kind of recognize the taste a little bit. So use your own judgment on what a cannabis. Same thing with limonene, which is basically coming from citrus fruit, oranges. Lemons, and smell a lemon. Break. You can always do a little twist of the rind and give it a little smell. That's put it on your fingers. That's the essential oils. That's what you're looking for. So that. So then when you do smoke a strain that has limonene in it, you might recognize the flavor. And then some strains have, like we just read, this strain has muffin flavor to it. bready, gassy, so you have to experience the flavors. I'm not the best at it. So I do catch flavors here and there. I've always said that metallic is like so sensitive to my taste. I can taste when something is bad, metallic wise. Like when beer has that metal flavor, that means the lines haven't been clean, or it's old beer. Oh my God, or just brutal, So you'll learn flavors. So just experiment with it. Have some fun. The days of linear, narrow evaluations, like think indica versus sativa, will hopefully come to an end, and truly unique and specific experience can be coaxed out of the cannabis world to alleviate in its ways we couldn't even dream of. Imagine the perfect visual and bring out the next level experiences for people who love cannabis, not to mention providing professionals and safe introductions to newcomers who might be curious but scared. Such an aim toward curation and appreciation centered around standardization quality would bring on a paradigm shift in the cannabis world, one that would benefit all who consume this lovely plant. How connoisseurship would shape consumer choices. One of these true connoisseurships start coming out of the woodwork and gaining their well-deserved notoriety. I believe they all have power to shift consumer choices in a major way. Just as in the words of wine and fine dining, cannabis must prioritize quality over popularity, regardless of whether it's a steak or a bottle of wine. If the chef or winemaker excels at their craft, and there's so many growers out there that excel at their craft. So I'm not beating anybody up. I'm just talking what we're seeing in a lot of the corporate cannabis industries now. So in the end, taste and minds will expand with consumers picking their strains, not just because of its flavor they like, but also because of the source and the way it was grown. Remember that. We talk about that a lot. With the advent of the true pot critic will rise and true chefs of the industry, consumers will be able to gauge quality outside, that strain's good, I've tried it before, metric. One that has failed countless people time and again. Crappy OG is still garbage, even if you're an OG lover, and perfectly grown gelato is still amazing in a market flooded with inferior grown gelato phenotypes. In fact, this writer believes most often people fall in love with strains because they had a chance to taste an exceptionally grown version of it, and as one of the first experience with a cultivar. As a cultivator, I can definitely tell you one of the best things you can hear from a consumer is that they never had a specific strain in that way before. That's when the producer takes the quality and puts it centerfold, above and beyond any perceptions about the strain, reshaping experience all together. So, just basically, man, know your Zaza. Learn, live it, love it, have a passion for it. It's not just all about fucking smoking the highest THC strain. So, I like that article a lot. Mm-hmm. So, I thought it was great. Had to read it. Can cannabis help and cure ovarian cancer? New research, go for Southern Illinois University, shows some promise, Mrs. Weedman. Tell us about it.
Yeah, researchers at Southern Illinois University may be on the way to determining how cannabis can help cure ovarian cancer, reported the Daily Egyptian, the student-run news organization for the school community. Conducted by the Cannabis Science Center, the research was led by Dr. Dale Buck Buchanan, a researcher and professor of physiology whose effort is directed mainly toward prevention of the disease. The vast majority of ovarian cancer research is focused toward extending what we call progression-free survival, he said. It seems misguided to me that the focus of the research is on the incremental increase in life, so we're really interested in prevention. Sadly, ovarian cancer remains the most common cause of cancer death from gynecological tumors in the United States, according to the CDC. Buchanan explained that as a result of the process of ovulation, scar tissue that develops after the egg erupts through the surface of the ovary can go awry, resulting in the development of cancerous tissue. His research proved that omega-3 fatty acids created when flaxseed was introduced into a diet can prevent the development of ovarian cancer and also minimize its severity. By reducing inflammation and allowing the healing of tissue, omega-3 acids compete with the naturally produced inflammatory proteins within the body. The consequence of this is a 70% reduction in the severity of cancer and a 30% reduction in the incidence. And all we did was introduce flax into their diet. That's crazy, Buchanan said. But we know nothing about how it works, so that's our work. While examining the effects of introducing flax into the diet, the researchers took a closer look at the system of protein receptors throughout the body that react to internally produced and external cannabinoids, also known as the endocannabinoid system. According to Didas Roy, a graduate student assisting in the research, the endocannabinoid system has, although still unclear, a role in the production of ovarian cancer. So, in the endocannabinoid system, there are cannabinoids produced inside our bodies, and they're binding to specific receptors, 1 and 2, Roy said. So, 2 is not that much expressed in the ovary, but receptor 1 is there in high abundance, and it seems like the expression of those receptors increases in cancer. Roy's focus is currently directed toward a protein called TGFB, which is present both in the ovaries and the broader endocannabinoid system. We know TGFB is also implicated in cancer, so we're trying to see how both of them are related to each other. Who's controlling who, and how are they contributing to ovarian cancer, Roy said. TGFB is a family of many, many receptors and ligands, so I'm trying to look at all of them. Meanwhile, there is a growing body of evidence by scientists proving that cannabis can either slow the growth of or cause death in certain types of cancer cells. Earlier this year, Cannabitech reported that in experiments conducted on a cell model, the fungus extract eliminated 100% of pancreatic cancer cells relatively selectively and without damaging normal cells. Cannabitech is involved in the development of a botanical drug based on an extract of the Cyathus striatus fungus.
Pretty good. You practiced that?
Maybe. And a cannabinoid extract from the cannabis plant. That same Israeli biotech company is behind another cell model study, which showed that its integrative colon products killed over 90% of colon cancer cells. The integrative colon products are based on a combination of several cannabinoids from the cannabis plant and various mushroom extracts. A study conducted by Hadassah Medical Center physicians last year provided a ray of hope for those with breast cancer. The research revealed a 6-fold improvement in killing breast cancer cells when using specific Cannabitech medical cannabis products in combination with standard oncology treatments and drug protocols, such as chemotherapy. So it's pretty exciting study results, and we'll just have to keep an eye out for progress.
I think it's great. Go Illinois.
Yeah.
Getting some research done. Amazing. How cannabis affects us differently as we age. I've always wondered about this. How, when I was younger, cannabis would just amp me up. And I didn't know we were smoking. You know, I'm talking about like high school all the way till probably in my 30s. You know? Cannabis would always like, ba-bing, you know. And as I've gotten older, no matter what, I do like a good nighttime strain. By like 4 o'clock, I'm looking for the you know, the one that's going to just take the level down a little bit. And as I've gotten older and a little bit older and more older, I like it. Just nice. So let's find out why seniors are becoming a crucial part of the retail market. It seems high time we understand that different ways cannabis impacts us as we age. If you use cannabis regularly or have casually enjoyed it for many years, you may have noticed it affects you differently today than it did 5, 10, or 20 years ago. A lot of this has changed, may have to do with the factors like tolerance, the weed itself, or even life experience. After all, once we get used to a substance, it doesn't quite feel the same as it once did. And it takes more of the substance to feel the similar effects. But there could be something else contributing to this change. Your age might be one of the reasons that cannabis affects you differently today than it did when you were younger. Cannabis use has increased significantly in the older demographics in the last several years. According to a 2020 study published in the JAMA network, cannabis use in the prior year among people over 65 had jumped 75% from 2015 to 2018. Hell yeah. It's awesome. All the boomers, all the ones that smoked weed back in the 60s, coming back to it. With this steady increase in older folks getting high, it is more pertinent than ever to understand if and how cannabis use affects people differently based on age. Cannabis use is only now starting to be widely studied and tested. It will take years of data, and more cannabis decriminalization before we get the more nuanced answers to how cannabis affects us as we age. But while much more research must be done, with limited research available, scientists are uncovering some very interesting findings, and some might even surprise you. For one, there is memory and mental capacity to consider. You might think that as we get older, cannabis might mess with our memory and cognition more than it once did. After all, as we age, our minds aren't exactly what they used to be. But this might not be the case when it comes to cannabis use, according to a 2021 study titled, "Are the Acute Effects of THC Different in Aging Adults?" The results of previous reports actually differ from what you might think. Consistent with some reports in the literature, the findings suggest that older adults may be less sensitive to the effects of THC on cognitive and affective measures. In other words, older users tend to keep their wits about them just fine, if not better, than younger adults. It is said, and this is me talking, your brain develops until you're 25 years old. And as you take stuff, no matter what, alcohol, anything, it tends to slow your brain development down. Not saying you're just not gaining the mass amount of neurons and everything that goes on in that brain. So, just think about that. THC has an adverse impact on aspects of cognition in younger adults, and that young adults are more susceptible to phenotypes of THC dependence. When it comes to cannabis and age, the curious results are not limited to just seniors and more seasoned cannabis users. There are also some studies that compare mature adult usage to adolescent cannabis usage, according to a 2019 study that examined age-related differences regarding cannabis use. Adolescents showed a slightly more resilient memory than older users. Human adolescents exhibited less impairment in memory post-intoxication than adults, according to the study. But while the younger users may have led less impairment, they found that younger users tend to crave cannabis more. Craving the inhibitory control may not decrease as much after cannabis intoxication in the adolescents compared to adults. The authors also noted these trends were most noticeable among very heavy and dependent users. More research is required in order to uncover more concrete evidence within these trends. Cannabis affects everyone differently, and as the user age, it is not often researched, but clearly significant variable when it comes to THC and how we react to it. Now more than ever, this type of research is important. We need to make sure this gets done. Major retailers offer dispensary discounts to people 20% off Silver Sundays, Senior Appreciation Days, according to the New York Times. When seniors become a crucial part of the retail market, it seems high time we understand the different ways cannabis impacts us as we age. I smoked another hit before. Yeah, I smoked another hit before, so it kind of got me.
One in.
I did sneak one.
Pass that back my way. Sharing is caring.
I am. Both sharing and I'm caring.
You are. You are.
So, as we get older, I mean, I think I don't know if it takes more for me to get where I'm at, but I like where I'm at because I know what I need. I know what I need exactly for my body every day to take my medicine now. At night, we take our 10 milligram edible about an hour before we go up to bed. We smoke a bowl, and that's it. And then that's usually during the week. You know, we might pop a 2 milligram edible in during the day, or might take a little nip of a pen or something like that during the day, just to microdose. But at night, during the week, Monday through Thursday, we kind of have our routine down, like how we end our evening, right?
We do.
Kind of have it pretty much dialed in, and it works perfect for us.
Mm-hmm.
On the weekends, we work hard, we play hard. So, and we smoke all day. If we got nothing
we have
to do,
days, yeah.
Yeah, we got
we're
nothing
just
to do.
around the house.
Yeah, we're smoking in the morning. We're having our coffee.
Yep.
You know, get some work done around the house, smoke a little more while we're doing shit. Before dinner, after dinner, throughout the night, we're watching. But during the week, I consume and moderate. I moderate during the week. That's just how I live my life. So, but I do smoke. Mm-hmm. And I do take my 10 milligram edible. My medicine, that's my medicine every night. And it works for my endocannabinoid system. It works great. So the normalization of cannabis shows shift in holiday sales and patterns. So we've talked about all the different like holidays that, you know, they call them now Green Wednesday. You know, they call you got 420 as a holiday. You got the 4th of July season. They that's a big holiday for cannabis now. So there's different holidays. So Ms. Weedman is going to tell us about the holiday shift.
Yep. There is a normalization of cannabis shows. No, not at all. I didn't read that right at all. Normalization of cannabis shows a shift. There we go. In holiday sales patterns. Yeah, I kind of spaced out there for a second.
Oh, gosh.
All right. A recent New Frontier data report shows that cannabis normalization is on the rise, and high sales days aren't limited to holidays like Green Wednesday or Black Friday. New Frontier data compared cannabis sales data from the month of November 2021 and also in 2022, and it showed a shift in sales patterns. While Green Wednesday was the third highest grossing sales in 2021, sales collected in 2022 on Friday, November 4th, Friday, November 11th, and Sunday, November 18th were nearly equivalent as November 23rd, which was this year's Green Wednesday, and November 25th, Black Friday. New Frontier Data consulted many of its leading experts to analyze the reasoning behind this change. According to New Frontier Data senior research analyst Noah Tamares, the Michigan cannabis industry is evolving rapidly compared to mature markets such as California. Perhaps the most notable difference in November was how Michigan's product breakdown stayed similar throughout the month, where in 2021 they favored more edibles and cartridges right before the holiday, said Tamares. It's striking how much more stable Michigan is in 2022 versus what it was in 21, and how much more it looks like California. Tamares also added that we're beginning to see a shift in purchasing behavior as well. In California, a relatively mature market, purchases remain largely consistent in terms of product breakdowns year over year. Michigan consumers last year gravitated towards more subtle or family-friendly products, such as cartridges and edibles. In 2021, those products spiked from 37% of transactions during the first week of November to 43% for the week of Thanksgiving. This year, the month looked much more normalized, with cartridges and edibles accounting for approximately 40% of sales during each week in November. New Frontier Data's Chief Knowledge Officer, Dr. Amanda Ryman, suggests that the cannabis normalization is likely the reason that sales aren't highest on previously predictable days. I think it's normalization and increased access nationwide that is driving the change in holiday purchasing, said Ryman. Not only are people just more comfortable using the regular products in more places and with more people, but cannabis is available in more states. So there is not as much need to stock up before you go, if you can get it wherever you're headed. Many folks would likely rather wait and buy cannabis at their destination than take it on a plane. Consumers spending time with family and friends on or around the Thanksgiving holiday is also a point to consider. New Frontier Data shared that 44% of consumers source their cannabis from friends or family, and 29% say that it's their primary source of access. So, traditional market, right?
That's it.
In some medical-only states, as well as those that still don't have any cannabis legalization, family is the primary source of cannabis. Previous data has shown that 68% of people consume with others, 21% consume with siblings, 19% with extended family members, 11% with parents, and 6% with their children. Additionally, 85% of consumers say that their family knows about their cannabis use, and 59% say that their family is supportive of their consumption. Thanksgiving-related...
Why do they have to support? I mean, it's so weird. Like, I support your drinking.
No. Just saying, like, their parents probably don't give them a hard time. Like, they probably feel like their parents, like, don't care.
Yeah.
They're indifferent. Not that they're, like, cheerleading for it.
But it's just...
Go smoke a joint. Go smoke a joint, you little fucking punk. You're bugging me today.
Maybe
no, I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like that. Additionally, 85% of consumers say that their family knows about their use. I thought that was pretty high. And 59% say their family is supportive. I think that's pretty high.
It's just so weird for them to say that. Say it like...
Well, it's ways to control how it becomes a norm.
I get it.
Right?
But it's just so
weird. Or not
weird.
Control, but like to gauge.
It's so weird, though, because you don't support somebody for drinking, like having a beer.
Well, no, but there's some families who say you don't do anything.
It just should be. It's legal. It should just be in your. It's just not. It shouldn't even be looked at like I support your cannabis use. It's just.
I think you're overthinking that word of support.
Maybe.
All right. Thanksgiving-related consumption is also a common practice, where 40% spend time with family and spouses while consuming, 38% report pairing cannabis and eating, and 33% cook with cannabis. That's high, I thought. Right? Overall, Tamariz believes that these activities will continue to become more normalized over the next few years. We expect that as markets continue to mature and new markets come online, consumer preferences will become increasingly normalized, and acquisition of cannabis will become increasingly integrated into consumers' daily routines. Tamariz said. Already, 48% of consumers report just visiting a dispensary after they run out, as opposed to planning a dedicated trip. With new markets opening, there are lower barriers to acquisition, right? So, like, it's not like, oh, I go once a month on such and such day. It's just kind of like,
it's like
you
going
stop
to
at the grocery store.
Right.
Like, I'll pick some stuff up, right?
Going to a dispensary.
Consumers may feel less pressure to purchase cannabis before travel or social events also. And as this plays out, we may see some unofficial holidays playing a less significant role in consumers' purchasing decisions.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Except for the whole support thing. I support you.
They're not. It's not that they say that.
I support you smoking weed, man.
Get out of here.
I support you doing heroin, man.
No, that's not what they're saying.
I don't like that. I just think it's stupid.
Go on.
New York governor signs bill encouraging businesses to use hemp for construction, packaging, and other purposes. I think this is great. I think every state should be doing this and stop getting rid of plastiques and get rid of that shit and start using hemp plastic and start using hemp for buildings and using hemp. I post this and I talk about it all the time. Hemp could save the world. You could do so much with hemp. You could use it for your car. Just so much. It's also got proteins and it's got all the omega fatty acids. I've been taking hemp for a long time. Seeds. It's great. It's amazing. Hemp could save the world. Remember that. But also in New York, they're cracking down on all the illegal bodegas. $4 million so far has been seized and 100,000 cannabis products. Just make people fucking go crazy. You don't have dispensaries open yet. Can you do it after dispensaries start opening? So people don't start going nuts. They had a place to go get their flower. This is cool. Kansas lawmakers hold final medical cannabis meeting after touring grow facility with chairman previewing 2023 bill plans. They're smart. So they're next to Mississippi, right? Mm-hmm. And Missouri. And they just went rec. So all their people from Kansas, because they ain't in fucking Kansas anymore, Dorothy, are going to start going over to the Missouri side and do what? Get weed. Yeah. So Kansas is going to lose out on all those tax dollars, so they're going to get something going real quick here. Smart. Don't waste time, unlike Wisconsin, Indiana, Kentucky, and Iowa. And I know the Kentucky governor is going to try to fight for it next year, so which is good. Bipartisan lawmakers urge Biden to back cannabis legalization amid administration scheduling review. Phooey. I don't think we're going into the lame duck session right now. No one's doing shit. It's the holidays. So here's it. Before they go into the lame duck session and the changeover happens, Schumer plans one last cannabis banking push for the year. Great. Write a bill just for that and have everybody sign it. Stop trying to add it to other bills and sneaking it in or doing whatever you're doing. Just write a cannabis bill for banking and then fucking have everyone vote on it. Yes, no. Stop. Just make it nice and sweet. Banks can now issue cash. Banks can now take cash from cannabis dispensaries and from cultivators and from anybody else that works in some kind of cannabis field. Even us. It's fucking next to impossible to get a bank. Okay? So, it's simple. Just say check the box. If the bank wants to work with people in the cannabis industry, let them. You're not going to go in and rate them. It's not that fucking hard. Cory Booker says Mitch McConnell is blocking the cannabis bill because you keep on trying to sneak it in or you keep on trying to put in another bill. Write a formal bill just for this. It's just the two of you, all of you, whatever the fuck you guys are doing and gals are doing, and all you senators and all you congressmen are just dangling the cheese, blaming one another, and then blah, 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 blah. It doesn't change a fucking thing. Anyway, I am done talking about politics because it's the holiday season. It's the holiday season. Remember I made up that song a couple of years ago? We did on the show, Here Comes Santa Kush?
Yes.
I have it somewhere.
Oh, you got to find that.
I'm not going to. Maybe I'll sing it. I probably won't. But anyway, just listen. It was on like maybe last year's or 2 years, Christmases ago episode. So, but it was a good song, though.
It was pretty good.
I kept the jingle.
It was clever.
I kept the jingle, too. It was pretty nice. Even you admit it. But anyway, tell us why cannabis was involved in pre-Christian Yuletide rituals. I posted this.
Yeah,
this
is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Cannabis was probably involved in pre-Christian Yuletide rituals. Before there was holly and the ivy, there was another plant associated with Christmas time, cannabis. Many historians agree that Germanic people of pre-Christian Europe used cannabis as part of their religious celebrations welcoming the winter solstice, which falls at the time of year when many people celebrate Christmas today. While the purpose of using cannabis in these rituals remains hazy, it's not out of the question that Germanic people would experience psychoactive effects from the herb as part of their religious festivities during the season. The winter solstice celebrations of yore would be wildly different than the Christmas celebrations of today, but many of the legends and themes Christians apply to December 25th were inspired by Germanic religious traditions. Which begs the question, how closely is cannabis connected to Christmas? Here's what we know about how cannabis was used in pre-Christian Christmas time festivities. Cannabis and the wild hunt. The winter solstice is the shortest day of the year, but also the longest night. Commonly known as Yule or Yuletide, many Germanic tribes celebrated the sun on this day and the season around it. The harsh winter months were leaving, and it was time to celebrate warmer weather around the corner. With warmer weather comes greener environments. This is why green plants were hugely important in Yule celebrations. To this day, greenery like holly and evergreen trees are used in Christmas decorations around the world. Winter solstice celebrations went on for many days. Are you familiar with the 12 days of Christmas?
Of course, we just did a great post on the 12 days of happy holidays.
Before then, there were the 12 raw nights. This occurred at various times of year for different groups of Germanic people, but most commonly between December 25th and January 6th. During this time, it was assumed that the pre-Christian god Wotan and his army would battle across the sky. It would be a fight between light and darkness. This spar is known as the wild hunt. It would bring about demons and evil spirits. To ward off evil and calm the gods, people would smudge their houses with 9 herbs. According to Christian Roche and Claudia Mueller-Ebeling, in their book Pagan Christmas, these herbs included juniper, mugwort, and likely cannabis. If this story sounds familiar, there's a reason. Some believe the legend of Santa Claus and his reindeer flying through the sky on Christmas Eve draws inspiration from the wild hunt. And to this day, many households will still put out something to keep Santa happy when he comes to call. Maybe we should be leaving out joints instead of cookies. In pagan Christmas, Ratch and Mueller-Ebling speak to another Germanic tradition, the smoking of a strong mixture of herbs called bocce. When you put cannabis seeds in your bocce, it was called sandstert. Smoking bocce with cannabis seeds in it was a popular activity in the Yuletide season. This again might bring to mind a popular Christmas time image. Remember old Saint Nick with his pipe? Well, the authors of Pagan Christmas believe Santa's pipe may have been inspired by the image of Rubizal, an ancient mountain spirit associated with Germanic religious festivities, who famously always had a pipe in hand. Perhaps we've been missing the true source of Santa's jolly nature. Though little is known about Germanic tribes and the celebration of Yule, there's quite a bit of scholarship indicating hash was used in their celebrations at Christmas time.
Hash.
Maybe ancient Germanic people were getting high for the holidays, or maybe it was just one of the many herbs used to infuse relaxation, health, and harmony into the Yuletide season.
Fucking brilliant.
Either way, we think we may follow in their footsteps by making this holiday season a little greener.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Such a good one. Hash.
I wonder why they don't have more history, written history about it.
You know why? They hid it from us. Come on, we're finding all this stuff out.
I want to know more about the pagan Christmas.
Well, do some research.
The Wild Hunt.
I found the song.
Bizarre.
I'll sing it at the end.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I found it.
Oh, dear.
Let's see if I can catch this. Keep the jingle.
Okay.
International news. What is a Jamaican steam chalice? I posted this, and I want to try one. So if anybody makes these things, please send me one. The Jamaican steam chalice is a traditional method of inhaling cannabis, although it's distinct from other conventional methods. Why? Because it does not burn the flower, but rather steams it. The steam chalice could be considered the earliest vaporizer. This method of inhaling cannabis, similar to modern vapes, frees up the terpenes and cannabinoids without generating as many potential toxic byproducts in combustion. So surprisingly, the steam chalice combines all significant elements: fire, air, water, and earth. I want one. Looking at the components, steam chalices are made up for essential parts: a coconut. I don't know if I think I'm butchering this. A coochie, a cutchie, Cutchie, bamboo tubes, and gritty. So, and then there's a whole thing about how to use it and all that stuff, but I'm not going to read it all. But I do want one. It's dope looking. It's so cool looking. So I'll show you after Mrs. Weedman the picture. So it's dope. So, weed the winner in Victoria's upper house. Pro-legalizing cannabis parties have the balance of power in Victoria's upper house, and almost half of the MPs sitting in the Legislative Council are new to Parliament. At least 8 of the 11 crossbenchers supporting legalized cannabis, and even a Liberal MP is open to push. On Wednesday, it was confirmed Labour secured 15 seats and the coalition won 14. That's awesome. So new elected legalized cannabis Victoria MPs Rachel Payne and David Ettershank told reporters they believed decriminalizing the drug for personal use was realistic. That's awesome. So, also I read, too, that if cannabis was legalized in Australia, it would be worth about 460 million pounds or $1 million in America. When I came, I think it said pounds in tax revenue. That's pretty good. That's a lot of monies.
It is.
Yeah. So, what are the best or just top 10 Christmas films to watch high? So we did the last one, right? What to do, the 10 things to do, the best things to do while high, activities to do at Christmas. So what are the best films? I mean, I have my 10, so we'll do the same thing as last time. I'll give you 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down, or one or a thumb in the ass. Good. I mean, a thumb in the middle.
Jeez.
Sorry. It'll wake you up. So tell us, Mrs. Weedman.
You're sitting too far. You can't reach. Top 10 Christmas films to watch. High. Make sure you're high. It's that time again. The most wonderful time of the year. Hanging those stockings up get a little too tipsy in front of your granddad and put on a cozy Christmas movie to finish off your day. That's right, it's Christmas, and we wanted to run down some of the most fuzzy and festive movies available for you to watch. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some of Santa's special cookies as we count through the top 10 best Christmas films to watch while high. Christmas is such a fun time of year, filled with decoration, good food, family, friends, and of course, recreation. Now, that can mean something different for everyone, but for me personally, it means good weed, good movies, and spending time with the people I love. We hope you enjoy this list. Number 10, The Night Before Christmas. At 10 on
No, this is just the night before.
Oh, it is just the night before.
Night before.
Sorry.
That's all right.
At 10 on our list, we start with the most modern. The Night Before is probably the only film on here that may have been written while high. The Night Before is Seth Rogen and the gang's attempt at a festive film. Lots of cannabis is smoked, and the whole film feels like a more adult attempt at a Christmas movie. It might not beat everyone's taste, but if you want something to just chill out to and laugh at, Rogen has you covered. Number 9, The Santa Claus. 1994's The Santa Claus may seem an odd choice to get high to, but trust me, when you see the chimney scenes, as well as the journey to the North Pole, you'll understand why. Another genuinely funny Christmas film.
I give that one a 1 thumb up.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about your vote.
That's right. The other one, too, I give that one... I wish I could do like
I didn't see The Night Before yet.
I've seen it once. It was all right. Not my favorite of all of his movies, but it was good.
So, like, that's a 1 up, 1 down.
Yeah, and the same thing with the Santa Claus, too. 1 up, 1 down.
Okay.
Not my
All right.
faves.
Number 8, The Christmas Carol, or A Christmas Carol, Robert Zemeckis version. The bell strikes midnight as we have our first adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol on the list. From the mind of Robert Zemeckis. Known as well for the equally festive Polar Express, he makes the Dickens classic a whole lot darker than other versions. He adds from the original novel the personified versions of ignorance and want in a very surreal scene. We also have an exceptionally trippy moment when Scrooge is thrown into the future and sees his own funeral preparations. This adaptation might not beat everyone's taste, and the animation falls into the uncanny valley at some points, but it's still a romp, making this a must-see stoned Christmas film.
The Scrooge comedy one with Bill Murray stoned, that's not on this list. That's fucking amazing watching high.
But this one,
I you know what? I don't think I've ever watched this one high.
I don't know if I have either.
So, I mean, I've seen so many. I like the old original Scrooge high. That's great. And a couple of the newer versions. But I don't know if I don't know. I have to see it. So what I'm saying is, let's maybe this Friday watch this.
Maybe.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
All right. Number 7, Chicken Run. Perhaps a new name to readers from the States or anywhere outside of the UK, Chicken Run is one of Aardman Studios' first feature-length animated films. It features a set of claymation chickens fighting for their lives. Full of dry British humor, this film is shown every year around holiday season on British TV. I've put it on my list of Christmas films to get high to. It is really funny.
I've seen it.
Have you?
I don't remember if I saw it high or not, so maybe I'll have to watch it again. So I'll just give it 1 for now. 1 thumb up.
6, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Amazing.
Yeah,
fucking.
of course.
This should be like even better than 6. So go ahead.
A darkly comic telling of an original tale about how Jack Skellington, the reigning king of Halloween Town, accidentally finds the neighboring Christmas town. Chaos ensues as Skellington goes a bit Christmas mad, trying to take over the holiday and run it himself. The bright colors and intricate set will make your Cannabis Christmas party all the more interesting.
I mean, I've seen that movie. I give that 2 thumbs
That's
up
a
and an
double
extra
2.
one.
3 thumbs up.
If I had 3 thumbs, it would get it. Can I borrow one?
You can borrow one.
But I mean, this one to me is amazing. I've seen this fucking. I can't even tell you how many times I've watched it. Every time it's on, I watch it. You just get because it's so good, you know. And if I hadn't watched it in a hot minute, I'll watch it. That's how much I love this one. It's so good, stoned.
5, Love Actually. Now for something a little more romantic. This best of British classics features so many iconic actors, moments, and jokes that it would be impossible to leave out. It's a classic through and through, and one to get you especially warm and sentimental as the cannabis kicks in. I don't think I've seen that.
We just watched a documentary on it.
We did?
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
We just watched a documentary, and we both said, I don't remember seeing this, or if we ever saw it. So we can't give. I don't give no rating, so it's safe.
4, Elf.
Oh God!
So my God, hysterical.
So good.
Will Ferrell outdoes himself in this Christmas cracker of a film. One of the most laugh out loud funny movies that is genuinely heartwarming as well. It's the perfect film to get you giggling. Oh my God, Stoned.
Oh, Stoned. I've watched it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
If you haven't seen this already, you can thank me in the new year.
Oh, thank us right now.
Yeah, double thumb, triple, quadruple thumbs up.
So good.
3, Home Alone. Classic. We've all seen it, and I reckon it's about time to watch it again, as this is one of the all-time feel-good films for the Christmas season. Spark up, grab some snacks, and get ready for some genuine laughs.
So good. 2 thumbs up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
2, The Muppet Christmas Carol. Where would a list of Christmas films be without this film? It's so Christmassy that I refuse to feel festive without first seeing Kermit and co. tackle Dickens' classic tale. Not only is the film well made, but exceptionally well cast, with each Muppet being a perfect fit for the role they were given. Light up and prepare to sing along to this Christmas classic. One thing to watch out for, some of the Muppets are a little trippy in their design, so this could be a little overwhelming if you get too high.
So good. 2 thumbs up, and I'm going to give you a quick story on this.
Yeah?
I think I was stoned at 8 years old watching this, and here's maybe. I was watching this in we lived in my grandparents' basement in the Bronx, New York, and our bedroom was the living room, my brother and I. And so I'm laying on we had a trundle bed, right? That what they're called, trundle beds. I was laying on my trundle bed, and my dad had all of his buddies over, and they were fucking playing fucking cards and smoking weed. I mean, the fucking big cloud of smoke. It was wintertime, so they didn't have the windows open. And I'm watching the Muppets. We've talked about contact high. The fucking whole, like I said, we lived in the basement. Cloud. They didn't have air fucking purifiers back then and windows open. Cloud. I had to be high watching this. I watched the Muppets Christmas so many times. So I had to be high.
That's pretty funny.
Right. So I'm giving that.
Little stony baloney boy.
2 thumbs up, yes.
All right, number 1 just was on the other night.
So
It's a
good.
Wonderful Life.
So good.
Get the tears ready as we end on our emotional powerhouse, It's a Wonderful Life. The oldest of all Christmas films on our list, made in 1946. It's a Wonderful Life is the story of a down-on-his-luck man who asks the question, what if I had never been born? An angel shows him how the world would be without him, and he sees the errors of asking such a question. Powerful, moving, and classic. If you want a film to watch that'll really make you love and respect those around you, then look no further. This one will leave you warm to the core. Then I added in, you want to give your
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs
and
up.
I was just saying to myself, last week, I'm like, I haven't seen A Wonderful Life yet. It's always on. I always catch it.
I think it was just
yesterday. we just watched it
Sunday
on Sunday.
night?
Yeah. But I was saying to myself, probably like the last week before Sunday happened, I'm like, man, A Wonderful Life hasn't been on. What the fuck happened? And all of a sudden it was on. It was great. So
Wait, when did I watch Sound of Music?
We
was
watched
Sunday.
we watched It's a Wonderful Life on Saturday.
Saturday?
Yes,
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So you added something to
I
it?
added my number 1.1, and it's The Sound of Music.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But like you said, it's not really a Christmas music.
It just always happened like right after Halloween. They would play it like that first Sunday before Thanksgiving or something. That's crazy. So, all right, I'm gonna give the song a shot, but before we go,
Yep.
happy holidays to everyone around the world. We love you.
Oh, I should have saved that little clip. I thought it was so poignant.
What's
It was when you say happy holidays.
Oh, yeah.
You're not denying the holiday that you may have been raised believing in, or the holiday that you do believe in.
Well, the holiday you celebrate.
But you are recognizing the fact that not everybody is of your religion or your faith or your whatever,
or celebrate
your
your
beliefs,
or celebrate
right?
Christmas or celebrate Hanukkah.
There's like 20 There were
over
a
20
lot.
holidays in the month of December.
Yes.
Right?
During the month of December into the start of January. So by saying happy holidays, it's actually respecting that everybody else, you can't just assume that everybody else celebrates the same
holidays. And there's
holidays
a song called Happy Holidays.
No, I know, but some people get really bothered with it.
I get it. So happy holidays. Whatever holiday of the 20 you celebrate in December, happy holidays. We celebrate Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody out there in the world. Whatever you celebrate, we love you.
Happy Hanukkah, that's happening right now.
Right now, yep. So, and whatever holiday you celebrate, happy holidays to you. So I'm going to try this. You ready?
Okay, do it.
Here comes Santa Kush, here comes Santa Kush, right down Santa Kush Lane. Burners and stoners and all the potheads smoking their bongs again. Joints are flowing, stoners are singing, everyone is nice and high. So hang your bowls and smoke big joints, 'cause Santa Kush comes tonight. Did I do it again?
That was cute.
Did I held the tune?
Yeah, you were great.
There we go. So everybody out there in the world, we love you with all our hearts. Thank you. Have a great holidays, AZE. Have a great one. Thank you for supporting 8decades.com. We appreciate you all out there in the world. Stay tuned. Grow Hour coming back on again too with Big Girl and I. We love doing that show for you. Another one in the books, Genetics. Hopefully you all liked it. Coming up with Nutrients next. So stay tuned for that one. Mrs. Weedman, you got anything else to say?
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and happy everything that you may celebrate in between.
We love you out there in the world. Thank you for listening. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.